Produced by Xingyu. Quality guaranteed. The full text is complete. Feel free to read, dear readers. I had a crush on Liu Ryan for 6 whole years. Just when I was about to confess my feelings, she left the country alone. She was gone for 3 years. Later, while playing Truth or Dare with friends, I was dared to call my first love and tell her, "I'm getting married. I hope you can come and see me." There was a long silence on the other end before she spoke. "Gee, Boda, you're something else. I've been out here working my butt off, and you're getting married behind my back in China? When's the wedding? Will it be easy to crash?" The lights in the KTV room flickered, a bit dazzling. The deep, husky voice in my ear hit me like thunder. I couldn't help but clench my hand. The people around me, hearing it was Liu Ryan, gave me knowing, gossipy looks. I quickly snapped back to reality, cutting off the call just as they were about to speak. "You still have feelings for Liu, huh? Crashed wedding? Wow, that's intense. Doesn't this mean Liu likes you too?" "I think so. Otherwise, why would she react like that to you getting married?" My palms were sweaty with nerves, a complex mix of emotions swirling inside me. Just as I was about to say something, I heard a scoff from the other side. Zhonglan was sitting on the other end of the sofa, giving us a disdainful look. "Have you all forgotten who Liu went abroad with?" Her words were like icy water poured over me, instantly cooling my heated emotions. She was right. Shortly after Liu Ryan left the country, her ex-boyfriend followed her. Many people saw photos of them traveling together abroad. Everyone marveled at their fairy tale romance, saying that Ito Cheng went abroad for love. I couldn't hide the bitterness in my heart, pretending not to care. Who she likes is her choice. It has nothing to do with me. Everything was just my wishful thinking. After chatting with them for a while longer, I declined the second round and chose to go home alone. As soon as I got home and plugged in my dead phone, calls and messages from Liu Ryan started pouring in. I glanced at the 20 missed calls and the long string of messages. My right eye twitched hard. "Why did you hang up suddenly? Did a woman next to you grab your phone?" 2 minutes later, she sent another message. "Gee, Boda, don't lie to me. I'll take it seriously. Do you really like that woman? Why aren't you answering my calls or messages? You don't usually go to bed this early. Ignoring my calls is one thing, but don't expect my blessings for the two of you." Not long after that message, she sent a flight itinerary. "I'm coming back." After reading all her messages, I was utterly shocked. I never expected her to react so strongly to this. I wanted to call her back, but seeing the flight time, I figured she was on the plane. I dropped the idea. My heart was pounding uncontrollably. The next day at noon, my friend Zhu Yang, who was on a business trip, sent a message. "Guess who I just saw, Dagger?" Before I could reply, he sent a photo. Liu Ryan and Ito Chung are back. In the photo, the woman was wearing a burgundy velvet suit, tall and slender, with a cold, aloof demeanor. She exuded an unapproachable, icy elegance. The man beside her looked noble, with a constant smile, his eyes full of affection when he looked at her. Looking at such a beautiful scene, I felt a mix of emotions. She was even more stunning in person. The sour emotion in my heart was impossible to suppress. Driven by impulse, I found Ito Cheng's social media account. I clicked in and started checking it out bit by bit. He had documented a lot of daily activities, and in many of them, there were traces of a woman by his side. Earlier posts even had likes from Liu Ryan. "I'm back. Can we talk tonight?" Just as I was about to put down my phone, a message caught my eye. My fingers curled slightly as I ignored it, trying to overlook the message. But to my surprise, when I got home in the evening, I saw that familiar figure outside the complex. Under the street lamp, her stance was graceful. She was looking down, fiddling with her phone. The phone in my pocket buzzed continuously. I didn't need to look to know why. I quietly tried to move away, hoping to avoid her and sneak into the building. Suddenly, she looked up unexpectedly. her gaze landing directly on me. I stopped in my tracks. She frowned slightly, then walked over quickly. I took a step back. Stop! Just talk from there. No need to get so close. Liu Ryan's body trembled slightly. Her sexy thin lips pressed into a straight line. She stood still, not moving any closer. Why didn't you reply to my messages? Her tone was accusatory. I forced a smile. My phone was broken. I didn't notice. Just as I finished speaking, an inappropriate sound came from my pocket. Embarrassed, I fumbled for my phone in my inner pocket, quickly ending the call. When I looked up, I caught a glimpse of the mocking glint in her eyes. Gee, Boda, you're getting worse at lying. I stammered, unable to refute her. She continued, got a girlfriend now and need to avoid suspicion, huh? Wasn't it you who once claimed to be a lifelong bachelor? I haven't been abroad that long, and you're already planning a secret wedding? Her seductive, soft voice carried a hint of resentment and sarcasm. The way she looked at me was as if I were a heartless jerk. I muttered quietly, were you Pigsy in your past life? You're so good at twisting things around. What did you say? Nothing. Just saying you look even prettier now. She snorted coldly, turning to retrieve a cat carrier from the car. Before I could see what it was, I heard several soft meows. Curious, I stepped closer. Liu Ryan handed the cat carrier to me, saying nonchalantly, you always said you wanted a cat, so I brought one back for you. My eyes lit up, and I happily took the carrier. But when I saw the ragdoll cat inside, the smile on my face faded a bit. Earlier, when I was checking Ito Chang's social media, I saw a photo of him playing with a cat. His caption read, Mom's busy with work, so Dad will take care of you. A strong bitterness surged in my heart. Stunned for a moment, I reluctantly asked, what's the cat's name? ZZ. Upon hearing this, I couldn't smile at all. The cat in my arms felt like a hot coal, and a strong sense of rejection welled up inside me. I don't want what others don't. I quickly pushed the carrier back into her hands, stepping back repeatedly. I don't like cats. If you want to keep it, that's your business. I don't need it. Each breath carried a trace of bitterness, as if the air was filled with the taste of sorrow. My eyes burned with unched tears, and I bit my lip to keep my emotions in check. Backing away, I expressed my inner rejection. Liu Ryan's pretty face instantly tightened, her deep black eyes staring intently at me. She nearly bit through her silver teeth. It's because you like me that I got it. Now you don't want it anymore? She was truly ruthless. She left in a huff without taking the cat, hearing the kitten's soft meows. I couldn't just ignore it. With no other choice, I took it home. As soon as I let it out of the carrier, it darted around the house like a rabbit, exploring every corner. It peered around curiously, and when it saw the closed bedroom door, it sat at the door meowing pitifully, while I marveled at its cleverness. A deep sadness settled over me. The cat was fine, but it was their pet, and I was just part of their game. Despite my feelings, I couldn't bring myself to neglect it. I set up a litter box and a cat house. As Liu Ryan said, I had no resistance to cats, but unfortunately my mom was allergic to cat hair, so she never allowed me to keep one. I took a photo of ZZ eating and sent it to Liu Ryan, asking when she could come to take it back. I waited for a long time without any response. Damn it! Could she really have fallen for me? After a while, Liu Ryan finally replied, but it was just a location pin. I sent a question mark in return. No one responded. I clicked on the location. It was a high-end restaurant. Curiosity killed the cat, as they say, and I couldn't resist following the location. I reached the destination and went inside. As soon as I turned a corner in the hallway, I saw that familiar yet strange figure. Liu Ryan was leaning lazily by the window, the wind blowing through her hair. She had shed her glamorous attire, wearing only a clean, simple dress. Ito Chang, dressed in a fine suit, stood beside her, speaking softly, and she nodded occasionally in agreement. She carried herself with such casual nonchalance, Ito Chang's gaze, filled with a smile, swept across the room and paused for a couple of seconds. When it landed on me, the amusement in his eyes faded significantly. Boda, you're here too. As his voice fell, Liu Ryan straightened up, lifting her eyes to look at me. There was a momentary look of sorrow in her brows. She walked over with light steps. Why are you here? I glanced at the man behind her who had lost his smile. A wave of grievance washed over me. Wasn't it you who Before I could finish, Ito-chung also came over. Since Jiboda is here, why not join us in our private room for a meal? It's filled with Ryan's friends. Yes, indeed. Let me introduce them to you. Their coordinated act was truly annoying. I lowered my eyes to the floor. No need. If there's nothing else, I'll be going now. As I turned, Liu Ryan grabbed my arm. She seemed like she had something to say, moving her lips. Jiboda, your girlfriend should be with you, right? Leaving her outside isn't very nice. Why not invite her in to join us for dinner? Upon hearing this, she paused, then let go of my arm, her face darkening. I felt even worse. It seemed they had reached a level of open communication. Well, 3 years of being together is not 3 days. Even ice would eventually warm up. I said defiantly. Don't worry, my girlfriend is on a diet and doesn't like eating dinner. Ito-chung chuckled softly. She's probably preparing for your wedding, right? Congratulations. Found a good partner, have you? On the surface, he was offering congratulations, but I felt something was off about his tone. Have you said enough? Liu Ryan's eyes darkened. Before he could say more, she cut in. It's getting late. I'll take you home. No need. Ignoring Ito-cheng's calls, she grabbed my arm and started pulling me out. Liu Ryan, are you crazy? Let go. She only released me when we reached the restaurant entrance. Where's your girlfriend? It's been a few days and I still haven't seen her. Why not introduce us? Her low voice seemed to pour into my ear, suddenly carrying a cold, sharp edge. I glared at her, maintaining my facade. She had work to handle at her company. She left after dropping me off. Got a problem with that? Liu Ryan's deep gaze fixed on me, as if trying to see through to my thoughts. Feeling guilty, I couldn't meet her eyes, and shifted my gaze away. Is that so? If not today, how about tomorrow? Or the day after? I'm free anytime. Her words caught me off guard. I've only ever liked her. Where would I find a girlfriend to present? Annoyed, I snapped at her. She's busy and doesn't want to see you. But Liu Ryan didn't get angry. She smiled instead. Her voice low. Jiboda, do you know what you look like when you're lying? She unexpectedly pierced through my pretense, making me freeze for a moment, clenching my fists tightly. Are you done talking? If so, I'm heading home. Yes. How's Zizi doing lately? She changed the subject, not pressing further. I replied, she's okay for now, but I can't guarantee how she'll be later. You should take her back soon. Liu Ryan frowned and asked, do you really not like her? Feigning hesitation, I nodded. Yeah, I don't. Please take her away. Every time I see her, I can't help but imagine what happened between you two abroad. That feeling is just too unbearable. Their past is something I can't be part of, nor do I want to know. So in the 3 years you were gone, I forced myself not to follow your life and avoided contacting you before she came back. Our last conversation had been 2 years ago. We were high school desk mates once. Liu Ryan was a brilliant student, while my grades were mediocre. Not outstanding, but not poor either. Our teacher suggested group studies, and we ended up in the same group. To improve my grades, I shamelessly asked for her help. The more time we spent together, the more my teenage hormones acted up. I began to pay attention to her every move. I studied hard to keep up with her, and even applied to Haikeng University because of her. Once, I almost confessed my feelings to her, only to overhear that she was with Ito-chung. Later, something happened between them, and they broke up. For 6 years, I kept my feelings hidden, finally mustering the courage to confess. only to find out she chose to go abroad. Perhaps it was fate, that we were destined but not meant to be. Liu Ryan looked down, seemingly helpless. There must be a reason for your dislike. Weren't you always talking about wanting a cat? I licked my dry lips, glancing at Ito-Chang standing not far away, and that familiar bitterness surged up again. I don't like it, plain and simple. No reason needed. With Ito-Chang still there, aren't you afraid he'll get mad for just taking me away like this? Her gaze at me was full of complexity. What does any of this have to do with Ito-Chang? Before I could respond, Ito-Chang walked over, saying he needed to talk to her. As she turned to speak with him, I flagged down a taxi and took off. For the next few days, I didn't see Liu Ryan. I only heard from others that her work focus was still abroad, and she was currently busy trying to relocate her company back home. She was incredibly busy, but she still messaged me daily, never mentioning work, only asking about ZZ. Sometimes, when I was too tired from work to respond, I would start a video call and let her watch ZZ. One evening, I turned on my tablet and started a video call. ZZ seemed to sense it, and came running, rubbing against my leg. Just as the video connected, Yi Mingming burst in, dressed to the nines. Bro, change into something nice. I've arranged a get-together with some cute girls. They're really pretty. Let's go have some fun, he said excitedly, throwing a bag of clothes at me. As the bag slid down my arm, an expensive suit tumbled out. I quickly stuffed it back in the bag, but not before the person on the other end of the video saw it clearly. Liu Ryan's face was unreadable, her deep eyes churning with visible emotion. Her voice was icy, rasping. Where are you going? The unexpected third voice in the room made Yi Mingming's joyful expression fade. Holy crap! Where's that voice coming from? He looked around in terror, finally fixing his gaze on the tablet. By the time I realized I should end the video call, it was too late. Hey, TSK, I thought you two weren't in contact anymore. Didn't expect things to progress this far behind my back. Oh brother, what other little secrets are you hiding from me? He was speaking without restraint, but it was me who felt embarrassed. Gee Boda. Their voices were like a death knell, rubbing my temples in frustration. I quickly turned off the video. Turning around, I said, stop making things up and imagining things. It was all just an accident. Yi Mingming raised an eyebrow, smiling, as if say whatever you want. I won't believe it. I knew it. Your sudden acquisition of a cat was a gift from someone. She really knows you well, huh? Using a cat to slowly break down your defenses. The more he spoke, the more nonsensical it sounded. I gave him a light smack on the head, stood up and changed clothes. In no time, I was dressed in the black suit he brought. Once I was dressed, Yi Mingming didn't give me a chance to change my mind, pushing me out the door. Just as he said, there were many new faces at the party today. Gentle, intellectual older sisters, and shy, innocent junior students. There were all types. Anyone could take their pick. Yi Mingming whispered introductions in my ear. To be honest, these types were quite popular, and I liked them too. But being new, I wasn't familiar with anyone, so I just nodded at his introductions. Brother, do you drink? This fruit wine is really good, sweet and delicious. The pure junior student with red lips leaned in close, and my breath caught for a moment. Right. There are so many women in the world. Why should I fixate on Liu Ryan? Shallow. Too shallow. Here's to my previous ignorance. I toasted, gradually losing myself to her repeated calls of brother. I got pretty drunk. My head swam as I leaned closer to the junior girl beside me, my vision blurry. How old are you, little sister? Do you have a boyfriend? Do you mind if your brother is a bit older? Before she could answer, I puckered my lips and moved closer. Who cares? Let's have a kiss. Gee Boda. I dare you to kiss her. The next second, a sinister, teeth-gritting voice came from not far away. My muddled brain didn't register it. Liu Ryan's face was as black as thunder. She quickly walked over to me, grabbed my arm, and dragged me outside. Under the flickering lights, I glimpsed Ji Mingming smirking in amusement nearby. My foggy mind couldn't keep up. I was led outside the bar to the fresh air, feeling even dizzier. Oh, this sister is so pretty. Do you have a boyfriend? I squinted, grinning from ear to ear. Liu Ryan was close to me, and a light scent of her body wash wafted over in the breeze. Such a refreshing contrast to the smoky stench inside. I couldn't help but take a deeper sniff. Gee, Boder, have you turned into a dog? You're the dog. Your whole family is dogs. Hearing that familiar voice, my eyes instantly welled up. A wave of bitterness washed over me. Ever heard of first to flirt is cheap? I'm the cheap one. Her lips seemed to twitch. Liu Ryan helplessly steadied my swaying body. Where did I offend you? Don't deny it. Why did you give me something someone else didn't want? Her expression flickered with a mix of confusion and pain. I didn't. Am I a trash picker? As I said that, I suddenly remembered. The price for recyclables in the neighborhood had gone up. I pushed her away, stumbling towards the garbage bins. Before I could reach out to pick up trash, someone grabbed my hand. Gee, Boda, what are you doing? I turned my head, slurring. I'm a trash picker. I want to pick up trash. Liu Ryan lowered her eyes and laughed lightly, seeming helpless. You're talking nonsense. No one gives you trash. I don't believe you. Don't lie to me. Liu Zhaoxiao is something someone else didn't want. I was truly despicable, picking up what others discarded. If others don't want it, neither do I. You better take her away quickly. Hearing this, she tightened her grip on my hand, her tone turning serious. Who said Zhaoxiao is something someone else didn't want? I winced in pain and looked up at her. She seemed to be saying something more, but my muddled brain couldn't comprehend it, nodding absent-mindedly. Nodding until I slumped to the ground, following her pull. When I woke up again, my head was pounding like it would explode. I slowly sat up, rubbing my temples. It took a while to clear my mind and realize everything before me was unfamiliar. The black and white bedroom was completely different from my room. Oh my god! What happened last night? I clutched my head in shock, trying to recall, but couldn't remember anything. Trembling, I got out of bed, tiptoed to the door, and pressed my ear against it to listen. I couldn't hear anything, not knowing if it was empty outside or if the room was soundproof. Just as I was debating whether to open the door and take a peek, the doorknob began to turn. Through the crack in the door, I saw that familiar pretty face. I froze for a moment, raising my hand to greet her. Step back, I heard her say grudgingly, and took a few steps back. Awake now. Her dark eyes scanned me up and down, as if inspecting something. For some reason, I felt very guilty, lowering my eyes and picking at my short fingernails, nodding slightly. Good, you're awake. Now go home, change your clothes, and get your household registration book. Her sudden words hit me like a blunt object, leaving me stunned for a while. Why do I need the household registration book? Liu Ryan sneered, as if she knew I was going to back out, and pulled out her phone. She quickly tapped on it and showed the screen to me. A conversation appeared, with a message that made me too ashamed to lift my head. I will marry Liu Ryan tomorrow. If I go back on my word, I will kiss you until your lips are sore. Embarrassment, incredulity, and awkwardness swirled in my heart. I didn't know how to react. Stammering. You edited this, right? I knew you'd deny it when you woke up. Then accept your punishment. With a bang, the door closed, and I found myself trapped behind it. She placed her hand on the door, blocking my escape route. The air filled with an intimate tension, growing thicker with every moment. I widened my eyes, watching her get closer, my breathing slowing down. The words were drowned in a wave of tenderness. I didn't know how long it lasted, but I found myself biting my lower lip. Eyes dazed, my heart pounded wildly as if it wanted to leap out of my chest. Liu Ryan's eyes were filled with an unending warmth and amusement, looking at me as if a galaxy of stars twinkled within them. What do you mean by this, Jiboter? Can't you tell? I pursed my lips, my eyes stinging a bit. I can't tell. Then let me make it clear. I want you to be my boyfriend. Is that clear enough? I widened my eyes in shock. She took a deep breath, patiently continuing. Xiao isn't something someone else discarded. From the start, I meant for you to take care of him. Otherwise, why do you think he's so close to you? Impossible. I saw Xiao in Yi Tongcheng's social media posts, and he called himself daddy. At this, Liu Ryan's brows furrowed deeply. I never let anyone else near Xiao. I don't believe it. I took out my phone to find the photo, but discovered that it had already been deleted. If you don't like him, then I'll keep my distance from him in the future. Before I could say anything, she had already spoken, her face full of seriousness and resolve. Previously, I had heard from Yi Mingming that after Yi Tongcheng returned to the country, he started working as a technical staff member in Liu Ryan's company. He's very capable, and perhaps he had already infiltrated the company while abroad. Thinking about this made me feel very uncomfortable. He had the ability to stand shoulder to shoulder with her, while my own skills were completely unrelated to her company. In the same company, how much distance could we truly keep? Besides, if I said anything, I might be seen as petty. I anxiously picked at my fingers, looking down and saying nothing. Liu Ryan, however, seemed to grow a bit impatient. He works in the tech department, so we hardly see each other. When I say I'll keep my distance, I mean it. You don't trust me. To be honest, I didn't. After all, I had witnessed things between them myself. As Yi Mingming said, first love is the hardest for a man to forget, especially when that person is right under his nose. I thought seriously, looking up at her. One word at a time, I said, Liu Ryan, let's just forget it. What I want is pure and tainted love. I can't accept someone who has someone else in their heart. A dangerous glint flashed in her eyes. Who said I have someone else in my heart? Are you an idiot? Yiming didn't tell you anything, did he? I widened my eyes in surprise. Confused, I asked, tell me what? Liu Ryan bit her lip. That money grubber didn't say I liked you, and he really didn't. I was at a loss. My one-scum heart began to stir again. Jiboda, listen carefully. From the beginning to the end, I only liked you. Did you really think I selflessly helped you out of idleness? True. Back in high school, my grades were mediocre. If it weren't for her help, I wouldn't have gotten into Haikeng University, a top 985. For that, my parents were so proud. They threw a banquet to celebrate. That was the proudest they'd ever been of me. Liu Ryan was among the invited guests that day. But someone said Yi Tongcheng followed you abroad. No matter why he went abroad, it has nothing to do with me. We just happened to meet on the road, and we merely exchanged greetings. Her expression was so sincere when she spoke. It didn't seem like she was lying. For a moment, I couldn't tell who was being truthful. What Yi Tongcheng posted on social media was indeed her. Seeing my hesitation, Liu Ryan irritably pinched my face. You'd rather believe others than believe me. If I really liked him, I would have been with him already. Why would I come to confess to you? You ungrateful thing. I've been working hard out there for so long, and you didn't even call once. Her voice gradually grew hoarse. She even choked up a bit. I thought you were really getting married, so I rushed back overnight, only for you to ignore me. The more I listened, the more confused I became. What she was saying was completely different from what was being said outside. Yi Tongcheng had been creating the illusion that they were together, leaving a deep impression on me. Who's more scummy than you? She laughed self-deprecatingly, her elegant voice tinged with a bit of grievance and bitterness. Just like how I used to secretly feel sad. Say something. Are you mute? No! I just don't know what to say right now. There's a lot to process. I need some time. She was silent for a while before saying, I gave you some time to think. So, what do you think? Do you want to be together? Her voice was a bit strained, her bright eyes shining. I nodded slightly, tentatively saying, "Why not give it a try?" The next moment, she hugged me tightly, so tightly I couldn't break free. "Don't move, let me hold you for a while." Her trembling voice was hoarse. Being this close, I could clearly hear the heartbeat. But it wasn't mine, it was hers. Since we got together, Liu Ryan really kept her distance from me Tongcheng. Just as she said she would, she avoided any gatherings where he would be present. But as the year-end approached, she couldn't avoid attending the annual meeting. Boda, she called out to me, "Why don't you come with me?" Before I could respond, she continued talking to herself. "You have to come with me. Hurry up and put on your jacket. Big sister is taking you out for a feast." Half believing, half doubting, I followed her to the so-called feast. It turned out to be a street-side food stall. When I sat down, I was a bit stunned. Everyone at the table was a stranger, except for Itwoo. The moment he saw me, his smile disappeared. "Who's this handsome guy?" A young-looking person sitting next to Liu Ryan asked, making exaggerated faces at her. She glanced at him, then calmly said, "This is my boyfriend, Ji Boder, who is also your boss." As soon as she finished speaking, cheers broke the silence at the table. "So the boss is as handsome as I imagined. Sister Yan, you are really lucky." "Absolutely. I've heard so much about you, Brother Da." The people around were overly enthusiastic, and I responded shyly. During this time, Liu Ryan replaced the wine in my glass with cold water. "Don't drink too much. I won't be responsible if you get drunk." Several people echoed in unison. Compared to their liveliness, Itwoo was exceptionally silent. I deliberately avoided looking at his face, but didn't expect him to speak up. "Brother Boder, you're really lucky. Yan just came back and you two are already together." I stared at him without blinking and replied, "You're not bad either." Getting along so well with Liu Ryan. I find it too corny to call her Yan, but Mr. It seems to say it so naturally. His expression froze slightly. Looking a bit embarrassed, he glanced sideways, as if hoping someone would speak up for him. They didn't notice the shift between us, but Liu Ryan frowned in displeasure and loudly said, "Mr. Itwoo, I'm not familiar with you, am I? I'm your boss. And I have a boyfriend I'm going to marry. What's the meaning behind calling me that?" Her voice was loud enough for everyone to hear clearly. All eyes turned towards the three of us, moving back and forth. "Watch yourself in the future. Stop calling me that so disgustingly for no reason. It's making me lose my appetite," she said, raising her hand to ask the owner to add a cucumber dish to whet her appetite. Itwoo's face turned green with anger. "You didn't mind when I called you that before. Seems like our boss has a small heart. I'll stop calling you that from now on." Listening to his sarcastic tone, I nodded in agreement. Indeed, I have a very small heart. I definitely mind people who try to get close to my girlfriend on purpose. I don't think anyone likes their girlfriend flirting with someone else. Right, Mr. Itwoo? I said it bluntly, not holding back. Even the careless people around could sense something was off, but I wasn't worried. After all the times he tried to one-up me before, it was my turn to take the lead. The boss is right. There was once a fool who knew my girlfriend was with me, yet still tried to pursue her. Isn't that just shameless? It made me so angry. I know about that too. Itwoo, don't be that kind of person. People like that aren't well liked. Among brothers, we don't play those deceitful games. Sincerely wish our boss and his lady well. The person who said this obviously understood the situation. It hinted at what had transpired, gently reminding him. Whether he listened or not, I didn't know. After the gathering ended, Liu Ryan insisted on walking back, perfect for digesting dinner. She said, patting her round belly. I agreed to her suggestion. As we walked onto the main road, I noticed a street adorned with Mid-Autumn Festival greetings. I realized belatedly, oh, it's almost Mid-Autumn Festival. She quietly squeezed my hand, casually saying, "Mid-autumn is a time for family reunions. It's not right if you don't gather with your parents. Are you going back to see them?" Her words reminded me that her parents had divorced when she was in junior high, each starting new families and having new children. I felt a pang of sadness for her, squeezing her hand gently, unable to help but offer, "Why don't you come with me?" As soon as I finished saying it, she quickly led me into a shop on the street. "Do you think these mooncakes are good? Will your parents like them?" Liu Ryan had always been eager to visit my home. She never came empty-handed, becoming a familiar face in my family. So when I brought her back this time, they weren't surprised at all. "The Yan, long time no see. You've grown more beautiful." My dad greeted her warmly, leading her to the living room. "It's been 3 years. How's life abroad?" "Pretty good, thanks to my aunt's care. I'm doing well now." She responded respectfully to my dad's questions, but the conversation drifted further, until he even asked, "When are you two planning to get married?" "I think the end of the year would be nice." "That sounds good. When do you think we should formally propose?" My hand paused while peeling an apple. I looked at her in surprise. I hadn't even had the chance to tell them about us. How did they know? My mom walked over with a plate of sunflower seeds. Noticing my surprised expression, she said, "Ziyan already told me about you two being together. If we waited for you to say it, the news would be old by then." "When did this happen? How come I didn't know?" "She called us to share the good news the night you got together." "Seriously, how could you not tell us about such a good thing? Do you really think of us as outsiders?" I looked at them in bewilderment, and seeing Liu Ryan's evasive eyes, I grabbed the phone she had placed on the coffee table. I usually didn't look at her phone, only borrowing it when mine was out of battery, or when I needed to make a call. But she always watched me closely, afraid I might see something. As soon as I opened the pinned group chat on WeChat, it immediately caught my attention. "No way! What's the deal with you three creating a secret group behind my back?" I incredulously clicked on it. The chat was full of messages. Scrolling up, the messages seemed never-ending. The more I read, the faster my heart beat. During the 2 years when I had no contact with her, she had been chatting warmly with my parents, even getting updates about me through them. No wonder they suddenly seemed so concerned about me. "Stop looking! There's nothing important to see." Liu Ryan nervously tried to take back the phone. Feeling a surge of warmth, my eyes reddened. I thought this crush was my one-sided affection. I never realized that, unbeknownst to me, she had feelings for me too. I had endured the bitterness of a secret crush for so many years, so I knew just how painful it was. But I couldn't imagine how these past years. How did she manage while abroad? You two should get along well in the future. It's not easy to be together. Don't let all the previous efforts go to waste. My dad patted my back and sighed lightly. "Yan, you've been through so much." Liu Ryan smiled and nodded. "Don't worry, uncle. We will." During dinner that night, I found it hard to shake off the emotional turmoil. On the way back, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I stopped walking. She stood beside me, silent, watching me carefully. "Tell me, is there anything else I don't know about? What do you want to know?" I licked my dry lips and asked, "When did you start liking me?" She thought seriously. "For a long time, it's a bit blurry now. Let's let go of the past. The most important thing is to look forward." My eyes reddened, and I pulled her into my arms, choking up. "Ziyan, I'm sorry. I've been such a complete fool. You've been wronged. The time we missed might not have been the best for us to be together. Maybe it was the passage of time that strengthened our resolve. Just like how coming at the right time is better than coming early, the time we are together is the best time. There won't be any more missed moments in our lives from now on."